Hello, everyone. This is Bridgit Danner and with Hormone Detox Shop, and I'm here today with Dr. Todd Watts. Hi, Todd. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me on. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so we're here on day 4 of the DIY Detox Summit. I'm having trouble keeping up with the track of the days already. It's like a bad sign. Feels like it's been going on a long time. But today, I think it's going to be one of the most popular days. So today is all about digestion, various aspects of digestion. We talk about fermented foods and probiotics, and talk about like enemas, all sorts of fun stuff. Your talk is probably going to be the most popular. We talked especially about detoxing from parasites, but as you and I said before we got on, your company and your experience base, you help people detox from all kinds of things. So what are some of the things you help people detox from?
Well, clinically, what I do is I see people that call in from all over the United States and some internationally, and we look at issues with chronic illness and what drives that. And that could be chronic infection like parasites, mold, viruses. I treat a lot of people that have had Lyme disease, and then also heavy metal toxins and toxins such as environmental toxins. Believe it or not, the gut and the body can get so much exposure to these pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, fungicides. There's so many sides out there, chemicals that are killing our gut bacteria and affecting our microbiome and our overall health. And there could be other chemicals. I've had people from Texas that, I think the fracking over there probably got chemicals into the water that created chronic illness for this whole family and a lot of cancer in the area. And so petroleum-based stuff, there's so many things today in our environment that we see. So the products that we put together and the process that we go through is all about, the protocol is all about really detoxing and cleansing, and then and supporting the bodies to be able to do it on its own. You talk to Dr. J, drainage is where we start, drainage and energy. And then from there, we build out on clearing infections and then heavy metals and toxins.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the energy part, because I feel like we covered pretty well on the summit the topic of drainage, making sure you can poop and pee and sweat and opening those things up. But when you say it's important to have energy to detox, like what do you mean by that and how do you address that?
I love this subject, right? So
okay.
I used to teach biochemistry. And so I love mitochondria and the body's ability to make energy. And the correlation with drainage, the correlation with being able to detox is huge. Why? You think about it, we always believe there's one mitochondria per cell. But in reality, depending where we are in the body, we'll have multiple mitochondria. So the liver has around 2,000 mitochondria. The brain, like 10,000 mitochondria. The heart has a significant amount as well. The brain, right? So if you want optimal function of the organs to work properly, then you need to have optimal energy for them to work. So in the liver, when it's trying to do phase 1, 2, and 3, and to clear the toxins out and to function and do all of the metabolic function it's supposed to do to create energy, then you realize, wow, I need to be sure I have optimal mitochondrial function so that liver can drain properly and can detox properly. And so that's the correlation together with those. And then if you're not making energy, what's happening? So what is happening typically is we take a molecule. So we get energy mainly from fats and from sugars. Okay. So carbohydrates and fats. Proteins can convert to sugar and eventually become, to become energy at times. But when we take sugar, the end metabolite in glycolysis, which is the part where before we get into the mitochondria, is pyruvate. Pyruvate will either come into the mitochondria and then go through and help to make energy, or it will be converted to lactic acid. So some of these chronically ill patients, they don't have good oxygen levels. They have something blocking that ability to convert. So then they get this lactic acidosis type of symptom happening. So
what would that be?
So then they get exhausted and fatigue.
Okay.
So then there's exhaustion, fatigue.
To make energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a biochemist, but I have been toxic in my life. And definitely
Mhm.
like a big discovery for me was the mitochondria, probably first from Suzanne Bennett, who is on the summit. She has a book about mitochondria called Mighty Mito. I don't know if you've ever seen that. I've interviewed
Mhm.
people on it. And when I started to do some supplements for it, also I was getting, the IV, and they take my blood out and they're like, it looks like sludge. It's it's not red. It's not getting its oxygen. So it really was like a wake up call for me. And I started to do like chlorella and B12 and CoQ10, which I now sell. And you have a new product, a new mitochondrial product, which I don't think we talked about in the summit because it wasn't
Mhm.
out yet. So maybe tell us more about, I know you're getting rave reviews. Tell us more about like what it is and why it's special.
Well, we designed the product and we looked at two things, right? One of the things is what's blocking the ability to make energy. So a lot of times mitochondrial products, the few that are out there, will say, oh, here, we need these nutrients so the mitochondria can work and do Krebs cycle and make ATP. What I look at is that, okay, nutrients most of the time come from our foods, but we can have the nutrients and the supportive parts of the Krebs cycle and things which are in our product. But also, what's stopping it from happening? What's stopping it from happening, like the conversion of the pyruvate um, to the acetyl-CoA for the Krebs is heavy metals, mercury, arsenic, lead, and then there also can be some of the pesticide, herbicide chemicals. Same thing in the electron transport chain when we're trying to create that final ATP molecule. These pesticides and stuff will get into that carbon monoxide, arsenic, mercury will even bump off iron out of there and bind onto that sulfur molecule, shutting it down, creating lots of free radical problems and breaking the mitochondria up. So when you look at detoxing, cleansing the body, you got to look at detoxing and cleansing the mitochondria in the cell as well. So our Mito ATP product will help bind and clear those toxins out, and also provide the nutrients and energy, the electrical energy components to be able to fire this up, because our bodies are electric. Membranes function off of electrical potentials, and that's what we key in on. So there's so much more to what we do than a normal herbal product or a normal just vitamin.
Okay.
And then you look at the mitochondria. If these toxins are shutting that down, then shutting the potential of drainage down and the function of the organs to where they're not working well. But the mitochondria does different things than just create energy. It also does cellular signaling, and it helps to control apoptosis. So then these bad cells that morph can be killed off. And if we have low mitochondrial function, then we're not doing a good job on these other jobs it's supposed to do. It also creates good, pure water that has low deuterium in it, which allows us to have optimal health.
Wait, say that has low what in it?
Low deuterium. This is a heavy water, right? The heavy water will break up the motors for that call it nanomotors that bring ADP and phosphate together to make ATP. So if we're breaking these nanomotors up, and this is Dr. Laszlo's work from UCLA, he talks a lot about this area. And if we're breaking that up because of the heavy water, then we're not having enough of the mitochondria and ATP production.
So your water is not heavy water; it's light water. Like, so what's that?
Yeah, it's light water.
How is that? Like, what does that mean?
Well, it's a good question, right? So it depends on the protons on that, and he goes into the details of the biochemistry of it. So you have an extra proton on the water, so they call it DTO instead of H2O.
Wow,
So it's a heavier based hydrogen compared to a normal hydrogen. But our bodies make like 1.8 liters of water per day. People don't realize that we make a lot of water within ourselves.
Wow, interesting.
And so that's going down a rabbit hole. I don't know that we want to go down, because you could do a whole podcast on that. But people can research his work over there at UCLA and see that. But what I'm looking at, hey, what we do is we make good, high quality water for optimal health in our mitochondria. And if we don't have good mitochondrial function, then we're not doing that.
Okay. I'm going to put the link to this product in the notes. I want to learn more about water. I feel like I get a lot of questions about water and minerals and structure, and now you've taught me something new. So I want to learn. I want to learn more about it. It sounds like a very fresh approach. I know it has like the bioactive carbons in it, right?
Yes,
Is that
it
for
does.
is that for like the detox aspect you talked about, getting the getting the heavy metals and all that to how can I say, out of the way of the process of making energy?
It does, but think about this. What do fatty acids or fats contain? What are they contained of? Right? What are membranes contained of? What are carbohydrates or sugars contained of? What are all our tissues? What is it made up of?
Molecules? I don't know.
Molecules, yes, but
Okay.
high energy carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
Okay.
Okay, so we're taking all these vitamins, which are sugars. We're taking these minerals, which are salts, but that only composed of a small part. What really is the majority of our tissue in our body is organic material.
Okay.
Right? So organic material, mostly carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. And so what we're doing in these bioactive carbons is they're high energy carbon molecules, hydrogen, and oxygen to help repair the tissues. Some of them are great for binding and carrying out of the body. There's polyelectrolytes to energize the membranes in the cells. There's saccharides in there to help to feed the cells and provide the building blocks. There's multiple parts to it on a biochemical view of things, but even lipids and fatty acids as well, and then there's different acids in the MitoATP that people will see all these different types of named acids. Why are they there? Well, a lot of the metabolites within the Krebs cycle and within our bodies are acids, and then they're converted to bases, right? Because they give up a hydrogen in that nature. So acids are high energy, bases are energy that's been expended within the body, and so there's as you get into both acid versus alkaline, it's completely different than a molecule that's an acid versus
Like the cellular
base. Mm-hmm.
energy production. Okay. And so
Like,
go ahead.
So I mean, even fats. What do fats provide? Fats provide an acid called fatty acid that then is converted to energy. Right? What does a sugar provide? A sugar provides an end metabolite called pyruvic acid.
Okay.
Or pyruvate that is converted to acetyl-CoA and then goes through the Krebs cycle. So there's a lot of things within our body that will have that as the name on it. But essentially, we support the Krebs cycle. We support multiple parts of what's going on in the mitochondria, plus with the high energy molecules, the reparative molecules, the binding molecules in there.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So it's called Mito Restore, and I definitely want to try it because I really became a believer in like supporting the mitochondria when I saw it work on myself. If you haven't, you haven't because it hasn't happened yet. On the last day of the summit is Suzanne Bennett talking about some of the foods that support mitochondria, some of the toxins to avoid to support your mitochondria. So that's like another piggyback on this topic, but I put the link to that product in this video. Remember, this is a pretty great deal because this product is a little spendy. You get 15% off with our code for the summit, which is DIY15. So make sure you use that. Dr. Todd, one question that had come in was about your detox starter protocol, which is sort of your big, comprehensive, like 4-month protocol. Someone asked, it's already 20% off, first of all, through this because of the summit. It's already taken off. But she was asking, is there a payment plan? Or in her case, could she maybe just buy the things like in stages rather than buy it once? Okay.
Yeah, she can call in and they can help her out with that.
Okay.
So call customer service. They can do phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and she can buy them in parts.
Buy them separately.
Yeah, and then ask for the discount, right?
Okay, so because you've had a couple of people ask about that. People are interested. Yeah, I don't know if people realize that you don't take all the things at once. So if you can't afford to buy all the stuff at once, you can do the phases like Todd just mentioned. So keep that in mind and mention the discount. But it's probably this discount isn't available forever. I don't know if it's through the month or through the summit. So make sure you call in. Let's see.
It's a really good deal with the both together. I mean, that's a huge discount for the products. So that's why it's a really good thing to do through the summits.
20% off is a lot of money off. Yeah, it's like $250, $300 off. So it's a great deal. Yeah, it's a lot of products, guys. And I put in the comments, this might not everyone needs this, but if you're, really sick, really fatigued, really toxic, know you have parasites, know you have a virus, know you have mercury, whatever, like can be a game changer for your health. And you are actually saving money, not only from the discount, but you're not, going to $1,000 new client appointment with a functional medicine practitioner, because you kind of are walking them through it, right?
We are. We have a lot of videos that support and explain each phase, as well as we have a weekly Q&A that we address a lot of questions that people have. And then there's all the previous Q&As that they could go through to learn about the protocol, how it works. And we address each week, we address a specific subject to help educate people and learn more about health and the processes in each of these areas. And that's the key part, is the better educated you guys are, the more you can do on your own. And this protocol is designed for 4 months, but some people it takes 6 or 8 months to get through it. And,
okay.
and it's not like, oh, you have to do this much. We want people to learn how to modify things on their own. And that's what we talk a lot about is if you're struggling or if you're sensitive, then you want to go slower at that process. And it's where at the beginning, you really support mitochondria function and you support drainage before you go in to start killing off infections, whether it's bacteria, viruses, candida, parasites. But
Yes,
the parasites are a really important part of detoxing all through the process, though.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mentioned your full moon kit, which I've recommended to people at various times already. So that's also like a smaller cost option that people could consider if they're not really sure if they have all these things, but they're curious about the parasites. I think is one way. I had another question about someone's taking the mimosa pudica and getting more constipated and wanted advice on that. I gave her my advice, but it's not my product.
Yeah, so it's going to start binding and pulling stuff out. Some people can get more constipated with the product.
Okay.
But what we're going to find is that I think it's because it's starting to take things out of the intestines that's been plugged up. And I've had people constipated for 10 years straight that this product helped them become not constipated. So to support it, there's like Mago 7, there's ghee. You probably need a
What's that? Mago 7?
Yeah, it's another magnesium peroxide product.
Oh, okay. So is that something you sell or just something that
They can go on Amazon and buy it.
Mag 07?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mag 07, I think.
Okay.
It's a magnesium peroxide, but there's lots of magnesium products out there. Those are designed, the magnesium peroxide designed for moving bowels, but you have to be careful not to get explosive watery stools with it, right? With magnesium products can cause that. Other things to support maybe some more vitamin C, but what I found is people have really dry intestines and they may need just to get some ghee in there, probably some good fats or ghee, which helps to lubricate and move things smoother out. And we have our intestinal mover product that really helps to get peristalsis and movement throughout the system, which has been phenomenal for many, many people. And that's another supportive product that has been great for moving the bowels. But I always tell people on the intestinal mover, use the ghee. If there's an issue, maybe there's a magnesium need as well, or a vitamin C need.
Okay, so I put those tips. I had mentioned the Bowel Mover, which is called Intestinal Mover with this product line. Water. I know Jay mentioned in his Q&A the Tudka, which if you're having like a liver bile kind of issue could help move things, would you say?
Yes.
Okay, so lots of ideas there. Okay, another question we had, where was it? Well, this is just a logistical thing, but somebody's in South Africa. I said our store, we have a few of your things that ships there. Is that just like can you get through customs to South Africa or no?
They'd have to find out customer service. There's a few countries that are hard.
Okay.
Africa in general is more difficult. I'm not sure about South Africa, but I know Africa in general is hard. Germany is another one. Mexico at times is very hard.
Okay. Oh, that's too bad. Okay. So we'll check on that. There's some more questions too I saw here. Let me see here. Oh, here's one. This person has been struggling. It's Cynthia. Hi, Cynthia. She's been struggling with dizziness, imbalance, nausea for about a year. Seems to be more constant. MRI is clear. Can't seem to find a food that triggers it. could it be parasites?
Easy. That's a typical symptom of parasites. I've had a lot of people have severe issues with those, and that could definitely be a parasitic problem. And that's something you're going to want to go down that route to help you out. Very common.
Okay, great. And then another person said she has like chronic wrist hand pain for 9 or 10 years now. So she's going to try to treat it with parasites. Do you want to speak more on that at all?
I can. So I had probably 16 to 20 years of chronic wrist pain. Right back here, right? And at times severe. And I did everything structurally, physically, injections that you could think of, but didn't work. Kept having pain off and on. And so as I cleared parasites, and if you read Cure for All Diseases, Hulda Clark talks about liver flukes being the issue for the wrist pain there, which I found interesting. I don't know how she figured that out. But regardless, whatever parasites, there's a relationship that I've been able to get with joint pain. Elbows, wrists, were big ones that I haven't had the pain since I've done my parasite cleansing. Personally, I know that works, besides what I've read and studied.
Okay. Awesome. Great. I think I know the answer to this one, but I'll ask you, this person's wondering if she doesn't have a license to run tests, even though she has other degrees. And she wondered if you offer any testing services, like kind of through like a practitioner support program.
Yeah, if somebody needs a test, they're welcome to call my office and we can send a test or request a test for them.
Okay, just like a personal, yeah. But you don't like have a service where you can help interpret tests or run tests for other practitioners, I think.
Oh, for other practitioners. Interesting.
Yeah, for her clients, I think yeah. Which this is from Valerie. Valerie, I'm an FDN. Luckily, I have an acupuncture license. I can run a bunch of tests. But as an FDN coach, you can run it through their program. But it's no small task. Like they have to have a medical director, and I'm sure special like licensing and stuff. So that's probably why they're not common to find. Do you know of any other sources for that, Todd?
I don't. I just haven't really addressed that. I have friends that are doctors that send me labs, and I look at them. I help them out because we're friends there. But I haven't done any of that kind of work. I'm pretty busy.
Yeah, and I know that you've said before, like, feel your pulse if you have one. You have parasites, so it doesn't sound like you find testing to be essential, which is also like. Here they're recommending a whole protocol, you guys, and there's no testing required before it. So I think that speaks something about, how, your opinion on testing, that it's, it's interesting, but maybe not always accurate or necessary. Is that correct?
It's correct. You can't, besides if you do testing, like say blood work, you can't rely on one test being the answer. So as I work with patients and clients in my clinic, what I do is I do run comprehensive blood work. I run like an organic acid test. I run heavy metal tests. I run a or GPL environmental toxin test. I'll run mold tests if I need to. So there's different things that I do run, and I look at them all as a big picture together to put together. And then I have a lot of assessment forms and case history to see and build a case for somebody that needs that problem. But what we've done is we build a protocol here that addresses all of those issues.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you did. Well, do you want to talk a little bit more about, you mentioned you start with drainage with the protocol, but do you want to mention what else it covers and how you decided the rest of the steps?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So what we had is my very first product was the Mimosa Pudica and then the Formula 1. So those are anti-parasitics and gut stuff that helps to get the digestive system working better, digestive juices working better, dealing with microbials such as parasites and yeast and fungus and bacteria stuff. And some people will start that process and all of a sudden they start swelling and they don't feel good and it's not a good experience for them. So but those were my first two products that I had there. And so when I stepped it back and said, okay, what we need to focus in on first is the ability to drain. So we started to we need to open up the drainage pathways. And that's where I brought in the intestinal mover. So because you have this funnel At the bottom of that funnel that could plug it all up is the colon. If the colon isn't moving, everything else is going to get backed up. So we got to be sure the colon and the bowels are moving. Once that's moving, then we look at the kidneys and the liver, making sure those are working well. The lymphatics above that, which is our lymphatic detox. So we have a kidney liver detox, we have a lymphatic detox. And then that way the cells can drain. And we use the minerals and we use the ATP to help with the cells and our binders that go with those, the biocarbons to help all that. But you have to start down at the bottom of the funnel to have success of draining everything up from the top. And so that's the key to optimal health. Well, some people have a difficult time draining. So we were having a problem with that. So then I was like, okay, why are they having a difficult time draining? They have no energy. They start to do any detox or drainage. They feel exhausted. So I went back and looked at, okay, what do we need to start with those people? I need to support energy. So that's why the first phase is energy and drainage. The second phase is going to go into helping detox and opening up more systems, and then it keeps going on. Third phase and fourth phase, which then address the pathogens and infections, and then the heavy metals at the end. So that's where we go with now. I don't start with somebody just killing off parasites or fungus or yeast, candida. I focus in on energy and drainage, bridging that into the parasites and the gut stuff, and then over into the toxins and metals.
I really like that. And I think it makes a lot of sense. Like as a practitioner, it makes sense to me. But then also, like, I think when you're a client, and I've been a client of treating myself just like you have, you can be like overly focused on something because you just read about it, or like you just got some test results. You're like, oh, I know I have candida. I know I have this or that. But sometimes the thing that you think is causing all your symptoms isn't actually the thing, because there's so many things, right? There's just so many things, and you can't test for them all, and it's not all accurate. So, and like you said, everything has to be opened up. So it just makes a lot of sense to just like, why not cover the whole spectrum of it, right? If there's a good chance you have parasites, there's a good chance you have heavy metals, and then doing it in a logical order that practitioners like you who've worked with clients have studied this, like you can guide them and make sure it's safe and take it slow. Like you said, I feel like I can't say that enough, like slow it down and take 8 months if you need to, if that's like the pace your body can take. So yeah, what a fabulous program. I think is it popular? Is it selling well? Are people liking it?
We sell it all over the world. And
That's awesome.
What's amazing is the stories that people can watch on the website that we call micro-mentries. And these journeys of people that had were so sick that the protocol is what got their lives back. And it's just neat. Every day we get stories of people, even certain individual products. So just the carbon biotox, that one product right there has been life-changing for some kids that had seizures every day, that weren't able to go to school because they had 25 or more seizures a day. That product stopped their seizures. And the parents had done so many other things. And we're getting stories just with the Mito Restore stories every day now of just like, wow, I can't believe how much better I'm feeling, or boy, I'm feeling really fatigued on that. But it's because it's working. And so sometimes the body needs to rest when it's healing. And it's going to be every product that we make has a lot of science and research behind it, and is designed to do a function within the protocol so that people have more success in overall chronic illness. And the patients that we've seen, or the clients that we've taken care of, the thing about those is we see the sick of the sick, right? I see people that have seen 10, 20, 50, 100 doctors. And therefore, I've had to come and figure out, well, I can't find the product that I need to help these people. I have to create the product. I have to work with a group of scientists to be able to figure out how to fix it. We have to go through and get the answer, because a lot of times there's just not the right answer out there.
Yeah. I've been really impressed. Like the last time I interviewed you, which it didn't seem like that long, maybe it was 3 years ago, maybe, you had one product.
Yes, one.
and then we reconnected, and I'm like, where did all these products come from? I had no idea. He's like a whole system now. You've been very busy. So it's really cool. I'm still getting to know the products. Okay, I'm going to ask you 2 more questions before you go. One is about one of your products that I don't know if you remember from your Q&A, but you have like, what do you call it? Molecular oxygen? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Molecular oxygen. I'm not good at following my own advice. Always start supplements slowly. I did not. I took an entire dropper full.
Wow.
It says on the bottle to do, but I shouldn't have. It was so strong. I was driving. I had to pull over the car and throw up. That's how strong it was. And I don't say that as an insult. Like, I say that because I think a lot of people take supplements and they're like, this isn't doing anything. If you take something and you're just like, oh my God, what is happening here? That's doing something. So I'm a little curious to hear more about the product. I think as I've learned about the product, I know why I had such a strong reaction. But you have this new mitochondrial product. You didn't have it before.
Mm-hmm.
How does that one compare or play into the oxygen product? And why can someone potentially like have such a strong reaction to something as that sounds benign like oxygen?
So did you just do it, or did you drink it in water?
I don't know what I did.
It's strong because the taste is strong.
I think in water. Yeah. Okay. No, it didn't hit me right away. It took like 10 minutes. And then I was like, whoa. it's gonna up all that oxygen. It's gonna upregulate. There's the pH part dealing with it. The high amount of oxygen in there. It's amazing what a product that is. So I give you an example. I crashed my razor here a few weeks ago before I went to India, and I had this big old, my bones swollen on my knee because I rammed it and I flipped it. So I struggled to get through India, but I got home and within one application of it, the pain was gone. Like topically or
topically.
Huh. Okay.
So I've had people I had a gal that had a stress fracture on the bottom of her foot for over a year, couldn't seem to get it to heal. She used it for 30 days and it healed it up. It absorbs really well through the skin. We've used it nebulizing. People use it in enemas. I've even used it in IVs, and then of course just in water, juice, whatever it may be. But even people that are on oxygen tanks, they can take the product and be off their oxygen tank for over 24 hours without having a need to use the oxygen. The absorption of that oxygen through the body is amazing. It's phenomenal for people that support people with brain injuries such as accidents or stroke and where they had lack of oxygen to that area.
Oh, that's a great tip. That's a great use. Wow. Okay.
The focus to help people focus and do well. In school, I've had people with ADD or ADHD severely that can't sit down and write paper that will get on that and then they can write paper in 20 minutes where they couldn't do it in 2 hours. Wow. And multiple uses of were healing from a surgery, a bone bruise, a muscle bruise. Topically it works great. It's a little sticky. You have to let it dry, and then a lot of times I'll rub something else on top of that. But yeah, it's a great product. But when you look at there again, you start looking at the mitochondria and the function. It goes really well with the mitochondrial product because it helps to convert that pyruvate to acetyl-CoA and also bind on to the free radicals to take it through the process to convert it to water. And oxygen plays a big role in the body for healing and for a good cellular health.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And by the way, I still take it. But I only take like 3 drops a day. I could probably take more now. I just kind of like got in the habit. I put it in with my homeopathic little drops.
Yeah. You don't need that much. That's the thing. You don't need a high dose.
Okay. So what do you think is like once you get used to it, what's like a good average daily support dose?
5 to 10 drops.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. This is like, I don't listen to myself. I get a new supplement. I'm like, let's take all of them at once.
Hey, I have a story for you on that. I have a story though. So we have a new product called Formula 2, right? And it's going to be it's phenomenal for strongyloides and liver flukes and, threadworm liver flukes and different parasites. And so I've been using it, but I changed the formula because I work on these things for like a year or 2 years. So after a year or so, year and a half, I changed the formula, add another herb to it. And the new herb, holy basil, which is great, right? But it's good for joints, pain and inflammation, great for the lungs. And so I just did like full on dropper fulls and thought, okay, what next? I woke up, I had a rash on my
Oh,
body. And I
wow.
didn't really think
Oh,
maybe, I'm
no.
allergic to something. I didn't think correlate it. I didn't correlate with my joints were a little sore. So I didn't take it the next day. That was Saturday. Sunday night, I did it again. The next morning, Monday morning, I woke up, my hands were all swollen really bad. My joints hurt all over my whole body. And it took me 5 days to recover. I'd never been in that kind of pain. I felt like I had RA, rheumatoid
Oh
arthritis.
my
It was
gosh.
really bad. But what I learned is that adding the new product that I had in there with the drivers and stuff, it took some of the other herbs into the joints, which probably killed more of the Lyme and other issues that I've had. Right. So
Yeah, like
I'm a
deep. It
Lyme,
was deep in your joint or
deep
whatever.
tissues that I had. Yes, deep
Wow.
infections that I did go back on it again after 5 days and started at 5 drops instead of 2 dropper fulls.
Yes.
So it's potent stuff. And what I learned is then I worked up to 2 dropper fulls again. It's better to start
That's
slow.
interesting. So you could get up to that dose again. That's really
Yes,
interesting.
I could.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it can be hard for all of us, our human nature, to remember to go slow. So this is a great question from Jessie. Really great question, Jessie. She's saying she knows people who avoid pork because of parasites. I read Anne Louise Gittleman's Parasite book. Woo, that'll scare you from eating. I literally haven't had raw fish since I read that book.
Amen to that.
So yeah, what is your opinion? Like, what should we do to avoid parasites, or like, should we take sometimes things with our meals to help prevent parasites?
If you think about it, when you go to India, what do? There's extreme amount of spice in their foods. Mexico, there's a lot of spice in their foods. So a lot of countries use a lot of spice and bitters, where in the United States, we don't. We like the sweets. I think if you add in stuff, that's where our Formula One has bitters and spices in there that is good to take with meals and to upkeep from getting exposed to it. I just went to India for a couple weeks, and I did good up until the end when I slacked off of taking anything. And the last day I got there, I got something. So I got home and I got like 5 days of watery stools. And I started high dosing. Like I did five times a day of my Formula One, and back to normal now. But it's you got to incorporate bitters and spices into your diet. It's important.
I think that's great general advice. Yeah, yeah. You can't just be like eating Pizza Hut in the salad bar. There's nothing to really like stimulate any action in your body when you're eating the standard American diet. That's great advice. Okay. And do you think like we should avoid pork? I mean, yeah, I've heard of this, and not just pork. Like I think Robin Openshaw said, there's like tons of little parasites in beef, which I still eat. Like, I mean, does all animal flesh have parasites? Salad can have parasites, eggs on it too, right?
So pork's different because the lymphatic system, right? There's not the lymphatic stuff for them to use to sweat out the toxin. So it's a more of a dirty meat kind of thing. Okay. So that's plus the pork tapeworm can create problems. You can ingest a cyst that can go into the brain and cause neurocysticercosis and more problems there. I'm just not going to go vegan personally. I can't. I feel like I need protein. I'm an O negative blood type, and we do really well on red meat.
Yeah.
The fish thing, I struggle with fish, especially after taking a medical parasitology class where you see so many life cycles of parasites in fish. So you got to be sure you cook it, that you're not eating raw fish. But we're all going to get parasites. I mean, I have people I worked with, an engineer and a pharmacist, and they found out where they were getting exposure to it. It was in their municipality water that they tested in multiple places, neighbors, their house, businesses that had nematode larvae, roundworm larvae in the municipality water. So something went awry there, obviously, but we're just getting exposure to it in general, and it's just good to do cleanses periodically to address that. And we talk about, oh well, it's just your microbiome, and a lot of doctors are like, you don't need to do anything about it. It's just. I'm like, no. In America, we have a diet that is the standard American diet, or a diet that lacks fermented food that lacks bitters and lots of spices, where in most of these other countries, especially second and third world countries, they use those spices and bitters extensively in fermented food.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And yeah, when you travel, like you said, it's especially important. And you mentioned briefly your Formula One, which is in the full moon kit. I really like that formula because I've been running stool tests on my clients, and I like it because I don't want to give them a ton of supplements. But the Formula One will also work on some bacterial overgrowth, even as it's like supporting the parasite thing. So I think that's a great formula.
People tolerate it really well. It's designed Ayurvedically to address a balance between the three doshas, which we're all a little bit different as human beings. And so people that are sensitive handle it well. And a lot of the practitioners that I personally know that they really like it because their patients can handle that one a lot easier than they can handle other ones.
Okay.
Without all the reactions to it. And so
Awesome. I see you have a new energy boost kit. That looks pretty fun. So I have to check that out. Do you have time for one last question that came on
sure,
Facebook?
you bet. Mm-hmm.
She was asking, what was the name here? I lost it. Asking about what you thought the root cause of rheumatoid arthritis was. This is from Michelle.
So I believe that there's an infection issue within that. Now, that rheumatoid arthritis can be a combination of infections, whether it's Lyme disease or the co-infections, could be a viral component to it, as well as parasites. Well, usually it's people that I see have all the above. And then you have to go into, okay, they also probably have a heavy metal issue and some type of toxin radiation problem. Like those, it's an autoimmune disease. There's something driving it. There's mitochondrial dysfunction. There's the lack of cellular signaling, which is important with the mitochondria stuff. So the way to treat it medically is to suppress the immune system and lower the inflammation. And so I'll have an anti-inflammatory product out that will really help with that. But it comes back to getting to the root causes of what causes disease. And what causes disease are toxins, such as heavy metals and environmental toxins and endotoxins or biotoxins from these microbials or these infections. And going through and taking care of those and addressing that is really important.
That's a great answer. About a year ago, I was like, I want to formulate my own supplements. And now I'm like, I'll just let you guys formulate them all. It's a lot of work. And, there's really a lot expanding. You guys are doing a great job. There's a few other brands I really love. It's really coming along so well. So thank you for formulating these things and doing it through your actual client experience. So you really know what people need.
Now, my goal was I have over 400 products in my clinic, right? To help people out here.
Currently,
okay. Yeah. So I was like, okay, how do I reduce the amount? I need to get, because I need to somehow reduce the amount. So I'm creating products that take people through protocols that would be good for majority of people. And then little things that we can tweak. And so that's why we're creating these things, is that one, I can use a lot less things. My patients can take a whole lot less stuff. And then not only that, but then the results are so much better. So that's where we make supplements that work is our motto, and the science that goes behind it, as far as, we're not just taking herbs and blending them together thinking that's going to work. We know how herbs interact together. We look at the pH of them. We look at the oxygen saturation. We look at how are they going to be protected and delivered at a potent enough to the body without getting torn up in the digestive system. There's multiple parts of things of, does it have enough energy to perform what it needs to do as well. And so there's so many things, and there's several other proprietary things our scientists looks at to consider, how we're going to make this potent and how it's going to work and how it's going to be delivered in a way that is effective at a dose that is small enough to where you don't have to take tons of stuff.
Yeah, I think you're doing a great job. I know I've heard some great things about your formulators. If you're watching the Facebook, I put the link to their sponsor page with the discount code in the comments. If you watch this later on YouTube, I'll have it in there as well. I don't know how long your discount code is active, if it's through the 16th or the 30th or whatever. So I will just say, get on it now, because if you find this video 2 months from now, it probably won't be live anymore. So take advantage. Any last comments, Dr. Todd?
What's interesting is that the protocol, the process that we take people through is important. And when you start to try and cheat that process, that's when people start to have problems. And we know because clinically we've been working on this for a long time. Detoxing isn't just about taking products and detoxing toxins and pathogens. It's a whole mind, body, and spirit thing. You know, going over to India and learning about Ayurvedic medicine and the process of how to work people. It's mindset. It's your spiritual health. It's your emotional health. It's your relationships. It's forgiveness. All of that stuff is so important in overcoming health problems and in detoxing. So I just want to let you guys know is whatever faith you are, it's important to really get grounded within that, and really be, find out what your real why. Why do you want to get to that point of being better? Having that mission, your purpose in life is important.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. That's really great. Yeah. It can be tricky to try to integrate all of these parts of the conversation, so thank you so much for bringing that up. I mean, just, thinking about what you're letting go of, what you're moving, what you're releasing and what you're trying to gain. That's a really nice way to kind of look at the big picture of things. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.